The Colorado Supreme Court refused to hear Governor Hickenlooper's petition questioning Attorney General Cynthia Kaufman's lawsuit against the Clean Power Act. The court denied the request, citing a 2003 case stating that courts are not to chime in on issues when on these issues when an adequate alternative remedy exists. Eric, even though David is our esteemed attorney at the table, I'm going to start with you. This fight isn't over. This is just the first round of the base of the Supreme Court saying it's not our fight yet. Go through the proper channels. Do you think Governor Hickenlooper really amps this up and wants to fight this fight for as long as it takes?
Well, let me first clarify that I'm not an attorney at this table. I hope it's not that I'm not esteemed.
Exactly.
This was an interesting development yesterday. And probably a significant setback for the governor, given that this has become quite the battle royale between the governor and Attorney General Kaufman. To be clear, the court did not rule on the merits. The court just said, take it up through the normal channels, started at presumably at the district court level, and we'll hear the case when it gets to us in a timely way. So there was no ruling on the merits, but yet I think the governor had picked this fight. Well, both of them picked the fight, but was hoping for an adjudication and a quick adjudication. In situations like this, I do what I call the rule of substitution. I think everyone is cheering for one side or the other based not on governance and whose responsibility this should be to represent the state in legal proceedings, but based on what they think about climate change and the Clean Power Plan that is at the heart of this. And if the situation was reversed and you had a Republican governor and a Democratic Attorney General, which is quite possible in purple Colorado at some point in the future, that situation will exist, would the same people be cheering for the same sides? My gut tells me probably not. And what interests me about this issue is the governance point of view of really, does that responsibility rest with the governor as the chief executive, or does it rest with the attorney general as the chief law enforcement officer? That's what the courts have to figure out.
Lisa, what do you think of the development this week?
Yeah, I appreciate it, and what a great trick to flip them around, because it does sort of clarify things for you in some ways, which is, I appreciated that the Supreme Court said, you don't start with us. You go back down. I mean, I thought that seemed like the kind of governance that I want from a Supreme Court, and the state is to say, okay, you can't just leap to us, even though that, I mean, so that was the thing that that was my takeaway, and I was intrigued by it, so.
Patty, does Governor Hickenlooper have, I guess, the motivation to make this a district court fight, an appellate court fight, and get all the Supreme Court? Is that a fight that he should be fighting?
Sure. I mean, he wants to find out if this is something that the AG can do. It would be nice to get a definitive decision, and the Supreme Court was right not to take it on. It goes to district court. This is not the only fight we're going to see, obviously, about the environment. This is about law. But the Oil and Gas Commission that was set up is having trouble coming to agreements. We're going to be seeing ballot measures coming down in 2016. So this is going to be another ugly year of shouting over the environment.
David, you're our esteemed lawyer at the table. Your thoughts?
For Eric's point about flip-floppery, the king of that is Ken Salazar, our former state attorney general, who beat Republican Governor Bill Owens in the Colorado Supreme Court on this issue, and has now flip-flopped, and he agrees with what he hopes will be his predecessor as Democratic governor of Colorado, Governor Hickenlooper. Structurally, our Constitution separates the Attorney General from the governor. They are both independently elected by the people, just like the Denver City Auditor is separately elected from the mayor. That's part of the checks and balances of our constitutional system. The Attorney General is responsible to the people. We rejected the New Jersey-style model where the Attorney General is an appointee of the governor.